I'm Dick Mason. I'm policy chair for the New Mexico Alliance of Health Councils. I've been, with the New Mexico Alliance of Health Council since its origin in 2010. So, but I'm no longer on the board. I was termed out. So, I just right from the start, because I don't know people where they are in their knowledge about House Bill 2 Junior. So whenever the House Bill 2 is the budget, and when there are excess revenues that they don't want to build into the overall budget, they distribute it among the legislators. So last year, each senator got $600,000 to distribute, as they like. And each representative got, let me see, 360. They divided evenly between the two chambers, and since there's 70 representatives and 42 senators, the senators get more because the money is split evenly between the two chambers. So it has to go through some government entity. The money we're usually talking about will go to the Department of Health to be used for your health councils or the health councils in general. So it can't go to any non-government entity. Those are some of the rules. Again, the rules change every time, every year, and unfortunately, you don't always know the rules even by the middle of the session. Last year, it had to be a minimum of $50,000. The request had to be a minimum of $50,000. And half of each money that a legislator gets, half of it can be recurring, which means it goes into a budget and stays there every year. And the other half can be one time for a project. So that's the way. And when you request money, you should request one or the other, because the legislators sometimes, if you don't, they just choose randomly whether it's one time or recurring. Mute myself? Was I muted all that time? Or did I must have hovered over the mute button. That's what it was.
Just for like a second, but you're good.
Okay. I must have hovered over the mute button and got it. I went to a presentation with Representative Lundstrom, who's the chair of Administration and Finance Committee. And she said there's definitely going to be junior money this year and probably more than last year. So last year, on 3 days notice before the money actually came out, we got $350,000 for our health councils. With an advance notice, we should be able to get more. And a good part of that was recurring. And part of it went to the Department of Health, just for health councils generally. And then some of it went to specific health councils. So this year, even the Department of Health, because they saw how successful we were last year in getting money, and because we did not get the appropriation that the governor's budget did not include the money requested by DOH by a considerable amount. I think they added $235,000 to our request. And we asked for, do you remember, Aaron, 6.2? Something like that. 6.2 million, and we got 235,000. Now that DOH submitted the 6 point whatever, and we got 235 once the governor's office was through with it. So even DOH said, you folks should be requesting junior money. Even so the request for the money would be for the fiscal year starting in July 1, 23. And the confusing thing this year is those of you who have new representatives, you're going to have to search for their contact information. They aren't officially in office until January 17th when they're sworn in. So there are 16 new representatives. And they, well, actually 17 because Representative Mo Maestas was moved from the House to the Senate to fill a vacant seat. And so, and he will, so that the county commissioner in Bernalillo will be appointing a new one to present. So that information won't be up until January 17th. I hope you know who your representative is and how to contact them. That's for the new legislators. I can send you, I can send you who the new legislators are and you can share it, but I don't have the contact information for them. I have a list of the new legislators. For the rest of you, you can go to the website, you know, the New Mexico legislative website and find the contact information for those who are born. And starting on January 18th, you should be able to contact, you know, through that website, you should be able to contact them directly. Again, the rules will be out in the reason the rules come out late is they have to determine how big HB2, the basic budget is, and then they have to look at the excess revenue, how much they have left to split. And that's why the details come out late. I asked Representative Lundstrom, could we get them earlier? You know, so they would be able, but she said, you know, that's the reason that the rules come out late. So there's a sample letter that they can share. You can share, if you can share it with the participants. It's just, you should be asking now. It doesn't hurt to put the request in now to your legislators. And again, it can be for a one-time project, or and that used to be, and you'll see in the letter that I recommend that. Yes, but it doesn't necessarily now have to be that. I would, if you want money for your health council over and over again, I would recommend to ask for recurring money. Now, because the Alliance did not, you know, because we didn't get the money for overall health councils, if you don't have a specific need for the money, you can ask them to send it to the Department of Health for use for health councils, and it'll be split among all the health councils. So even if you don't feel you can utilize the money, you can just say, allocate, you know, you can ask for more than 50,000, a minimum of 50,000, and allocate it to Department of Health for use for health councils. Yeah, someone's saying they like that approach, but that, you know, that there's sort of, you know, the local use or for a county or tribe might be more attractive to a legislator. But, you know, we had a number of people who just gave, you know, the money to Department of Health to be spread among the health councils. It didn't seem to hurt the request. In fact, we had one legislator give the money for statewide health councils who didn't have a request. We didn't have a request in. So we don't know where she got the information. That's it. That's it. If you can send out the sample letter. Now I'm open for questions, and we'll let you know we'll let people know when the actual rules come out.
So Dick, can I add a couple comments? One, thanks everyone for attending. And
Right.
In addition to the junior bills and your asks for that junior funds, simultaneously, there will be a funding bill for health councils. It doesn't replace the the 125,000 that we're asking per health council. So if you decide that you do want to ask your legislator, would they be willing to put 50,000 or 100,000 to DOH to fund health councils? This is like our plan B, because just in case we don't get what we ask, or if they lower the amount that we're asking for, we have a safety net. The other thing is sending the message, if we have a number of legislators, representatives, and senators requesting to use their junior funds for health councils, that sends a strong message to the governor as well as LFC and other legislators. So it doesn't hurt if you don't have a specific project in mind for your health council to ask if your representative or senator would be willing to put their junior funds towards health councils. But just so you know, there will also be a bill on top of that.
Right. And we will be we will be asking people. I wouldn't put the asking for the funding bill in the same request. The request for junior should be a separate, but there will be a notice going out to support. Quite honestly, and I'll be honest with you, the funding bill has not moved that well. We've gotten some money through. Through the funding bill, but we've never got what we wanted. So this is, DOH encouraged us to do this. But the message also, I don't think one of the reasons that DOH was beefed up considerably, their request, was that they saw that legislators were willing to give junior money the last time. So I think it sends a message to DOH too. That there is support out there for the health council. So if you don't have a specific purpose for your money, and then just ask it, go to DOH for use and for all the health councils.
Yeah, and Diana has her hand up.
Yeah, okay.
Hello, so I had some experience facilitating one of those junior fund contracts this last cycle. And I just will say that at some point in that DFA process, they made us pick a project. So if you do ask for specific money from your legislator, just know that eventually a scope of work will have to be designed. And I tried to make mine kind of flexible, but you can't have no ideas. So I hope that helps you think.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that you and your legislator have to agree on that ahead of time, but at least have an idea internally about what it would look like if you did get the money. Because what we might have is a situation where it's difficult to spend. Depending on your fiscal agent, sometimes it gets really hairy after the fact. And so if you wait around and kind of aren't proactive about the way to spend the money, then it can come back to bite you, and then you'd have to revert the funding. So that would be embarrassing. Please don't do that.
And you're with whom? I'm sorry, with what health council?
I am actually Department of Health.
Oh.
So I'm the one for at least the Metro and Northwest region facilitating those junior funds.
So So, okay, now, so Quay had an issue, Quay County had an issue because they requested the money, they requested 55,000 for an executive director. They got other funding for the executive director. And they were saying, well, you requested the money for executive director, you have to use it for an executive director. And so yet you have to be very, I don't even know how that worked out, but I know that the Department of Health.
So
Go
I'm
ahead.
from Clay County, and
Oh.
I think we had it as staffing funds to help with just people working in the office that are not the coordinator.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, good.
So an issue that we had was actually coming up with the contract from DOH and what was going to be the deliverables in that, since it was just a staffing request. And
Right.
so that was finally worked out, but I don't think it was ever specifically for the coordinator. It was for hours for people to work.
Okay,
And the way these are structured is it's do the work and then get paid. So that's difficult for a council who's trying to have a contractor or an employee, and then you have to wait for the funding. So it's not, here's the money, have fun. It's deliverables, then the money. So just know that it can be quite uncomfortable for a very small budget council if you're trying to contract with employees.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Diana.
when did that happen? Because, again, when I was co-chair of the Sanibel County Health Council, and we used to get our money in July with a list of deliverables. And is that how has that changed?
The way that they're currently structured, it is work first, then payment.
Huh.
Joyce,
So,
was that your experience in Quay?
I don't work with the grants as to what's come in and how that goes. But I know it did take some fine tuning because again, it was just for staffing. And so it didn't have like specific, these are the things we will do. So that had to be negotiated between DOH and us to figure out how do we make these deliverables that will do this money. And so, that is something important you need to think about when you're requesting this. You need to come up with what those deliverables are. And we were really shocked that we got the money. I don't think we were really expecting that. So, go in it thinking, yes, I'm going to get this and this is how this is going to work. And I think that will help the process for both parties to get everything done.
Yeah, and remember you are in the process of your CHIP and even saying for implementation of our community health improvement plan, health
Yes.
equity priorities, because as you all
Yeah.
know, your implementation is going to take resources. You'll have some through your Department of Health CDC grant, your Department of Health regular annual funds, but if it allows you to take it that much further or do two priorities instead of one.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Use it for something that you already have a deliverable for, really, which is, implementation of the community health plan. So, that's actually a good recommendation. It gives you far more flexibility. The Department of Health understands it. But that's a good point. Something that's flexible rather than, unless you have a real specific one-time project that you want. And again, unless you have a one-time project, I would recommend that you ask for recurring funds. And I have to tell you, when they get this money, legislators are sort of strapped to find ways to allocate it. So, in particular, the new ones will not know the process. But I think more people in the community now know that because, for a long time, there was no HB2 junior money because the legislature was, the state was so strapped for money. And so it's only like in the last 3 years that HB2 actually the last 2 years, the HB2 junior money has been available. And but people, the community in general is becoming more aware of it. And, that's the other thing that, and I don't want to compete with the health councils, but a lot of you have member organizations that might be interested in junior money too. If you have member organizations that you think can use it, you might let them know. I know Los Alamos, they actually used it for a senior project, a senior center specifically. That was a member of their health council. So that's another way you can do it, is if you've identified a need that's within your health plan, which is what Los Alamos did. And so they requested the money specifically to go to that. That's that senior program. So again, I think Susan, we'll be available in staff if you have questions that come up. If you want to send draft letters, but again, I get them in soon. Make the money recurring. Make sure it goes to the Department of Health. And specify, you can specify, go to Department of Health, the health councils, go to your health council. What I think Susan's suggestion, keep it broad, like implementation of a community health plan would be good, unless you have a specific purpose. But again, take the lesson from Quay when you ask for something specific. And you have to use it for that, or else you have to do a lot of finagling. So, other questions or comments?
And Enrique, I know you're driving. Did you want us to send the sample letter in an email? Is that what you were asking for? I don't know if you can answer or not.
Yeah, that would be good, but also just kind of there were some questions on areas to focus the funds. I think that would be helpful as well.
Okay.
Can you repeat that last part, because you cut out a little bit?
Okay. Yeah, if some of the areas to focus on, we're talking about like what kind of things to ask for, that would be helpful as well. Last year we asked for funds, but I don't know that we did a good job on the first try.
Well, yours did you ask for funding for a specific purpose? Because we got the Senator Stewart allocated $50,000 to health council, and we couldn't figure out where she got the request.
Oh, well, I didn't see any of that. We did ask for general funds for health councils through a couple of different legislators, but we didn't get the answer we kept getting was they didn't have funds. So I don't think that was from us.
Oh,
but
okay.
we asked for kind of general funds for the councils.
Well, your health council or health councils in general?
General?
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
it may have come from Senator Stewart, because she's, I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe enough asks got passed around to somebody got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's surprising that you don't get a response, because you would think they would want to claim responsibility. We just know it when the budget comes out. That we go through it and we see what has been allocated to health councils, and we were sort of surprised the last that we got 350,000, and then there was a complication that the governor vetoed the initial HB2 junior, and they had to go into special session, which may have been part of the complication of the allocation of the money, I don't know. But now the governor and the legislature have worked out the fact that they have to consult with the governor on this.
Yeah. Diana, do you want to talk about your point in chat?
Yes, I'm just hoping that this is not true, like that it's actually that nonprofits are still eligible to receive, because we've had successfully junior money come through county fiscal agents. And I'm not sure if Joyce, you can speak to the fiscal agent in Quay, but I know that some of the legislators got kind of squirrely because they were confused maybe about the nonprofit at the end of the pass through. And that would be inequitable, right? If only certain kinds of fiscal agents can receive money, that's not fair. So I don't know law or the rules, but I'm hoping that that was a misunderstanding on their part, because DOH is the super fiscal at that point, right? And
Yes.
in contracting out, but boy, that was a hard information to receive, because it was, over and done with. And they were like, no. And that was the
Yeah.
reason they gave. It was really sad.
Was it? Yeah, because you could contract with daycare provider, and other things, the money can't go to, other than a state. And you may be right, I think it can go to another government entity. It doesn't have to go to a state entity. It can go to like a county government.
Yeah.
Or even a school district, some government entity it can go to, but all the money we're looking for is to go to Department of Health, to make that simple.
So we are our own 501, and so that wasn't an issue for us.
That's
Mhm.
great to hear.
Yeah.
So
So Joyce, your nonprofit was able to receive it directly from
I
DFA?
believe that's correct. All of our grants just come directly to us. So, yeah, because I was treasurer, so I deposited a lot of things. So I can confirm that one.
And many people know I've worked for many nonprofits over many of years. I would say 5 years ago, as a nonprofit, we were not allowed to receive the funding directly. It had to go through a government entity. So I think they're trying to figure that out. I think they're trying to loosen it up, but the rules aren't real clear. So maybe what we could do is investigate that and get a little bit more clarification for folks. If you are a nonprofit, can it go directly to your nonprofit, or does it have to go through a government?
Did the state anti-donation clause, which was modified with the constitutional amendment.
But it's not finalized. And so, yeah.
Yeah, but again, it's very specific, or at least the legislature has to do enabling legislation. So the anti-donation clause, which actually a lot of people think is a great piece of a constitution, says that state money cannot go directly to anything else other than a state agency. A lot of people, particularly around broadband, feel that they would like to actually give grants to individuals so that they can get broadband access. And so that was a lot of, and some other services. And that was the emphasis behind the constitutional amendment for some exceptions to the anti-donation clause, but it's going to be very narrow. But it's something longer term. For instance, if in your community health plan, I think for some of the tribes, if broadband access, is a problem, looking at promoting the use of that money within your, within your health council might be, something you want to put in your community health plan. So, so that there is going to be enabling legislation, and believe me, there are going to be people who are making sure that it's not too broad, because if people are afraid that it's going to open the door to corporations to tap into the state budget. That was all, and that was the emphasis behind the anti-donation clause. And people are afraid that they don't want to open that door to allow corporations to access state money. So again, any questions, if you forward them to, the staff and, they can forward them to me, or they can answer them themselves. So. I will send, Aaron, do you want me to send you a list of new legislators?
Sure, that'll work.
Okay, all right, I'll send it to you. Yeah, so get it, I mean, get it in there, be good funding and, it'll help the health councils overall. So get your requests in. Any more questions? If you have some along the way, just send them to the staff, okay? And I'll just, ask the staff and they'll give you my email and you can send them to me, okay?
And we'll also be sending, Carrie does the announcements. And so when is the next announcement out that'll have a template for the junior funds?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. So
Okay.
so look for that letter.
Okay.
Look for your announcements. The letter will be attached.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Dick.
Okay. Bye
Thanks,
now.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.